I was all excited. Wow, finally here we get some positive reinforcement. I look in the purport and there's like nothing. So generally it's hard pressed to find verses about women. No, actually, let me correct that. There's a lot of verses about women that aren't so favorable. It's hard pressed to find good ones. Don't be discouraged. We have to see it in the with certain advantages, talents, frailties, right? Strength based on our karma. So the activities in the past comes to fructify in this lifetime. So we're born with a certain set of parents under certain circumstances, and then there's karma lying in seed that's waiting to happen, that's happening to us daily and will continue to happen. So actually Prabhupada said that, a man at the time of death, if he thinks of a woman, then he takes birth as a woman, and vice versa. A woman will take birth as a man. So there you are. So why waste time, right? Lamenting or trying to prove something or being angry or whatever we have. We use it for Krishna. I want to give one example. I said that the title is from past to present, but actually this is present to past. So we had one nice devotee here. Everyone knows her very well, Lavanga. And one could say she was born with a lot of disadvantages, right? She actually was born premature, so she has no strength at all in her legs. So her crutches were her legs. So all of us have had like a sprained ankle or something, and we're like, oh my God, I can't do anything. My foot hurts or something. But with Lavanga, did anyone ever hear her complain? I mean, she's achieved so much. She's like not even 30. I'm not sure how old she is, but she birthed a child. She lived in India, which is whoa. What else did she do? She has a degree from the University of Florida. She has a counselor degree from the ISKCON, whatever that is, counseling degree. I mean, none of which. I'm 70 and none of which I have. And and teaching, right, teaching Bhakti Shastra. So, amazing. And how is that? Because she sat around and lamented. No, she's a go for it kind of girl. I'm ready to hear that she's like skydiving or something. So, yeah, so determined. So this is to say that we're not limited by the body. What we're limited by is up here, our mind. We can actually do anything for Krishna. And she's a prime example of that. And we miss her very much. And she was certainly a really nice inspiration. But any kind of handicap that we may have or may think we have, or any kind of body that we have, that can be a motivating factor, right? Someone says you can't do it because you're not strong enough, you're not smart enough, you're a girl, or something like that. So that can motivate us to get strong. And like they say, the underdog, number two tries harder. So sometimes when we're in a position like that, whatever that may be, we can use that strength to motivate us, to do a lot. So whatever we have, we can achieve our goal. The problem is, what is our goal? There's a lot of material goals, right? Nice house, nice car, good education, and all these things are fine, and we can utilize them in Krishna's service. But what is our ultimate goal? Our ultimate goal is to know and love Krishna, develop our relationship with Krishna. In the Bhagavad Gita, 7th chapter, verse 1, knowledge of the absolute. So Krishna says, Maya aksha manaha parto yogam yanjan marashraya asangsayam samagramam Jnana Gyagyasu Touchtrinu. Now, hear, O son of Prita, by practicing yoga in full consciousness of me, with mind attached to me, you can know me in full, free from doubt. So that's what we want to achieve. We want to know Krishna free from doubt. Krishna referred to doubt as demons, demons of doubt. So, that's in our heart. So we want to be able to go beyond that and really understand Krishna. So this is an open invitation to anyone to understand Krishna. There's no bars. Everyone is available. There's no disadvantage. Of course, like if your father's a doctor, maybe it might be easier to become a doctor, right? Because they run in certain circles. They certainly would have the money to put you through college. But then how does that equate with like an immigrant coming in with nothing and then their children become very successful? So it's a little bit of karma, but it's also a lot that have to do with your own determination and your own sights that you set on your goal. So people do so many austerities for a material goal. I mean, to become like a lawyer or something, you have to go to school for, like 20 years or something. And plus, the debt, there's people that are still paying off. We get, once in a while, we get something in the mail for Gaur Shakti when he was in college, like 40 years ago. You're like, you still owe the government money for your, so much austerity. So, what does it take to reach perfection in Krishna consciousness? What does it take? Determination, right? A fixed mind. What else? Steadiness. Yeah. Enthusiasm. Anyone else enthusiastic? You see Jimona shaking her head. There's another nice verse, and this is in the ninth chapter, the most confidential knowledge. Manmanava baba mad bhakto majaji mam niraskaru mam me vashasi yuktvaibam atmarana. Engage your mind in always thinking of me, worship me, offer obeisances unto me. Thus being completely absorbed in me, surely you will come to me. So that verse is very important. It's actually so important that Krishna says it twice. He doesn't say any verse twice. There's practically the same verse later on in the 18th chapter. So why is he repeating this? Because this is the essence of understanding and becoming Krishna conscious. Engaging your mind and thinking of Krishna, become his devotee, offer obeisances to Krishna, worship him, do service for him, and be absorbed of him. And then what does he promise? Surely you will come to me. So that's what we have to, to meditate on. That's our goal. Just like every year we go to Rath Yatra. So how do we get there? Some fly. That'll definitely be my preferred method after going through what I went through this year. But, devotees take the bus, they drive, even some devotees took the train. And so some may take a little bit longer than others. Some are more direct, some are a little bit less direct. But what's the goal? The goal is to get to Rath Yatra, chant, dance, see Lord Jagannath. So everyone can reach that goal, but the avenues may be a little different. So we may have a certain type of body, we may have a certain gender, we may have a certain intelligence level, but we can still reach perfection. I wanted to talk about some of the incredible ladies in our sampradaya, in our teachings. One was Gandhari. Gandhari was a princess from Kandahar, actually, in Afghanistan. And, at that time, the Vedic culture was spread all over the world, and particularly those countries that are near India. So she was known for her incredible beauty and also her wonderful qualities. So when she heard that her husband-to-be, Dhritarashtra, was blind, she blindfolded herself. Now, we can't even imagine doing something like that. But she didn't want to be in a superior position to her husband. So this is a little tip for the ladies. You can be equal to your husband, but their false ego cannot handle it if you're a superior. So either you have to dumb down a little bit with them or something, or, be submissive. But that's the key to successful relationships. So she got so much potency from doing that when the battle was about to happen. Her son, who she was so attached to, like every mother is attached to their children. So he was going to fight with Bhima. And so really they were about equal. Balaram trained Duryodhana, and Balaram was more dexterous, but Bhima was actually a little stronger. So, who was going to win? No one was sure. So then the mother thought, I got to give some advantage to my son. I can't let my son die. So she said, my dear son, she sent a message, come to my room. And so he's like, okay, mom's calling me. I gotta listen to her. So he's just about to leave, and Krishna comes, and Krishna says, oh my God. He's like, what are you doing? And he goes, I'm listening to my mother. She told me to come in my birthday suit. And he said, no, she must not have meant that. That's like too much. You got to cover that part. Cover it up. So he's like, okay, let me do that. So then he put a gamsha on. So then he went before his mother. His mother was there. She was still blindfolded. And so she said, son, is that you? Are you there? Did you follow my instructions? And he said, yes. And then she lifted up her veil for the first time in, I don't know how many years or something. And the potency of those eyes, she actually gave him armor on his whole body, except then she got to the part where he covered. And she said, and he said, what, Krishna? And she was like, yeah, of course, Krishna's going to intervene with this. So he was totally potent all the way down, and then not his waist and his legs. They were impenetrable. But as we remember, when they had their battle, that Duryodhana or Bhima, they were fighting for days and days, and no one was being defeated back and forth. Then Bhima looks over at Krishna, and Krishna taps his hip. And he remembered that's his vulnerable spot. So he took his club and boom, and broke his hip. And that's how he was put out. Generally, the rules of etiquette in fighting, you don't hit below the belt. But Krishna gave the sanction, and somehow or other it was okay. So we should listen to our moms and not to Krishna. Another is Draupadi. So when the Pandavas were they were incognito, so they were playing the parts of Brahmins. So they were in the forest and they were foraging, and they would come back with whatever they collected for the day. And so they heard that was the King Janaka, no, King, was that Draupadi was having a swine bar ceremony, which means that the princess could pick any prince that she wanted. So the father actually wanted Arjun for his daughter. So he made this really hard and very incredible, intricate, what's the word? Target. Yeah, target, but just what they had to show, their prowess. So which was a fish going in a circle on a wheel up above on the ceiling, and to shoot it, you had to look in a reflection of water. And so you had to look in the reflection, hold your bow, and then shoot up, and not just hit the fish, but hit the eye of the fish, which was, practically impossible. So different suitors came in, they were all puffed up, and they come in with their big muscles and their bows, and, they could hardly even, hit the wheel, what to speak of the fish, and throw their bow down and leave. And one after another, the heroes came, and no one Karna came and he could have hit the fish's eye. And Draupadi stood up and she said, you're a mixed caste. I cannot accept you as my husband. Don't even try. So he was totally humiliated. He left. And King Drupada was thinking, oh my God, I made this too hard. Now my daughter isn't going to be able to find a husband. And then in come the Pandavas. So here they come, they're dressed as Brahmins. But they have the bow marks on their shoulder and things, but they're dressed as Brahmins. And so he said, can a Brahmin participate? Arjuna asked, and then King Drupada was like, well, might as well. No one else is hitting this target. So then Arjuna very expertly came. He looked at the fish, set his bow, offered obeisances, and boom, hit the eye of the fish. And so the Kshatriyas were like, I can't even believe this. A Brahmin is doing this. So there was some tussle, but Arjuna was able to take away Draupadi. And when Draupadi came with the Pandavas back to the hermitage they were staying at, Queen Kunti was cooking. She had her back to them. She was making prasadam. And they said, Mother, we have brought a special booty back. We have brought a special alms. And she said, well, whatever it is, equally amongst you. And then silence. She turned around and she saw that it was a beautiful princess. And she was like, said the words of the mother can never go in vain. So they're like, what? We've heard of a king having multiple wives, but we've never heard a woman having multiple husbands. How can this be? And then all of a sudden, a voice from the sky said that Draupadi prayed to Lord Shiva for a good husband. And she prayed for a good husband, prayed for a good husband, prayed for a good husband, and prayed for a good husband. Dear Lord Shiva, give me a good husband. She prayed 5 times. We all know that the demigods are very potent, and we can just ask them once, and then they would. But she asked 5 times, so she got the 5 benedictions of 5 good husbands. So that's what she did. So later, Rukmini approached Draupadi, and she said, the Pandavas are all dedicated to you. They'll do anything for you. She said, what? I need your tips. I want to know how to bring Krishna under control. Are you using some special mantras? Are you, do you have some potion? What is that? Love potion. What is it that you're doing, that you're bringing up? The Pandavas are like obedient to you. I want to know what you're doing. You must be doing something. And then Draupadi was like very shocked. She goes, I would never use any kind of magic or any kind of mantras on my husbands. She said, the reason they're so dedicated to me is because I rise before all of them, take rest after them. Said, I know everyone in the kingdom. I know all the servants, hundreds of servants. I know their names. I know their nature. I take care of the treasury. They were kings of the world. I take care of their treasury, all their profit and loss. A lot more profit than loss. And she said, because of, and I serve them so nicely. And that is how I keep them under control, not by any of these artificial means. And so, Draupadi is very incredible and very special. So much so that Krishna personally came and saved her twice. When she was going to be disrobed, Karna was, never forgot that insult of Draupadi. So he was more than happy to help Dushashan drag her into the assembly and try to unrobe her by pulling her sari away. And it's, of course, a famous story that she was trying to hold on to her sari while these big guys were like trying to rip the sari off. And she was holding on with one hand and then raising one hand, Krishna, Krishna, please save me. And then she thought, well, Krishna's not coming and these guys are going to take it off anyway. So then she put both hands up. Hey, Krishna, hey, Govinda. And then Krishna appeared and started delivering unlimited cloth and just kept going. And they were pulling and pulling, and there was like a heap of cloth, and they were finally exhausted. They couldn't pull anymore, and her chastity was kept. And another time when Durasamuni came, and actually the Duryodhana had sent Durvasamuni with his thousands of disciples to their hermitage when they were incognito, because he knew that he had a very bad temper, and if they weren't treated properly, that they would be cursed. So after the Pandavas had eaten, she had a special pot that was given to her by another sage, and as long as she hadn't eaten, then it was unlimited prasadam. She could feed tens of thousands. But they washed the plates, and then here he comes, Durvasamuni, with all this. And he said, yes, we've come to honor prasadam. We heard you are a delightful cook. We've come to taste this. So they're like, oh my God, what the heck are we going to do? And so they said, well, please go take your bath and we'll prepare everything. And she was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I already ate. There's nothing. And then she's like, Krishna, please help me. So then here comes Krishna waltzing in. And so she said, what are we going to do, Krishna? We're going to be cursed. And he goes, where's that pot you cooked in? And she said, oh, it's empty. So he said, let me see. And Krishna looked at the pot and he saw a little grain of rice stuck in the pot. And then he took that grain of rice. And because he was satisfied with that love and devotion, then all the munis and sages that were down at the river, they all said, wow, it's like totally full. And if we go back there, we're going to insult them by not honoring the feast that they cooked. So let's sneak away now. So they left and they were averted danger. So she was a pretty incredible lady. So of course, we can't speak about the wonderful ladies in our lineage without speaking of Janava, Lord Nityananda's consort. She was actually an incarnation of a Nanga Manjari, who's the little sister of Radharani. And it says that Lord Chaitanya encouraged Lord Nityananda to get married because he knew the important role that she would play in the future of the Vaishnavism. So when Lord Chaitanya left the planet, and then all the main associates of Lord Chaitanya left, there was the second string or the second group that were coming up, like Narottam Das Thakur, Srinivasacharya. So they were feeling so much separation because the Panchatattva, they were gone. Lord Chaitanya was gone. Lord Nityananda was gone. And they were feeling so bereft of that association. But when with Janava there, they accepted her as the leader of the whole Vaishnava Sampradaya. And she, initiated disciples. She was the one that first started the Gaur Purnima festival. She inaugurated that. She organized that. She was the, head speaker there. And so, she carried on and gave them so much encouragement. And then, of course, after Lord Chaitanya, then, we know that, so many great acharyas were there. And Bhakti Siddhanta, we just had his disappearance day. We're talking about his glories and his, reviving of Lord Chaitanya's Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy, and Bhakti Vinod Thakur, and we're in such an amazing lineage. And we see there's both the ladies, both the females and the males, played such a vital role. And, we're kind of the very juniors coming up. And it's just a wonderful, privilege to be in this movement and to be part of this amazing sampradaya and be able to pass on these teachings of Krishna in Bhagavad Gita and Lord Chaitanya to all the conditioned souls. So that is our honor and our duty. And that famous verse, that whoever you meet, whoever you see, tell them about Krishna. So that is our duty as devotees and our honor as devotees to Because people are suffering in this world. There's no question about it. Parmeshwar would be the one to tell us the most because he's out there on the front lines day after day after day. Sometimes when you stay back at the temple, you kind of think, yeah, everyone's like really mellow and nice, and probably everyone's vegetarian out there. I mean, it's so hard. Look at all these people coming to Govindas. Everyone's like sweet and nice, and all our festivals are fun. So the whole world must be like that. But as soon as you walk out the gate, you see, man, people are suffering like anything, and this is the panacea of help that we can give them. We can, there's mundane things to do, certainly, we help out. We see when we're down at Food for Life, they give them some shelter, a haircut, a new coat, like that. The devotees are there giving them prasadam, giving them the holy name. And, that's what's, really sustains them. Although, all is important. Prabhupada said if someone's hungry, they can't listen to philosophy. If someone's distressed, if someone's so poor, so these other things are good. And there's many organizations out there that are doing that, so we don't have to do that. But our role is unique. Our role is really different. Our role is to, help people and give them, what they're really needing most, which is Krishna consciousness. So that is about all I got to say here, and everyone's running out of the room. So if we would like to, have a little discussion or ask some questions, then we would certainly entertain that. Yes.
Really great topic. So nice to hear you speak at length. I was just meditating. It's so interesting. I really appreciate what you brought up, using Lavanga as sort of a present day example. I think all of us really look up to her in the ways that you described. Something that I've been thinking about lately has been how to balance, I guess, self-compassion and the understanding of our individual nature limitations with kind of discipline, especially as a woman, because I bring this up as it pertains to this subject, because in a lot of times the kind of masculine-led instruction can be very heavy. Well, you just do this, you just get up, you just serve. It can almost be black and white sometimes. And in some ways that's helpful because discipline, oftentimes as you perceive, we can do more than we think we can. And service and program that can save us from our limitation. And at the same time, Prabhupada just said that you quoted, if we ignore our conditions, we ignore our mental health, our physical health, it's just kind of hard to toe a line. Like, is this my speculation? Do I need to be softer on myself as a woman? Do I need to push myself a little more? When do I do what? And I don't just mean me as a person,
Mm-hmm.
but I've been having this sort of conversation with a lot of specifically female devotees, and I feel like a lot of us are kind of grappling with this. So as someone who has been, you're here after all these decades of service, I wonder what your insights are.
Okay, that's a big subject. Unpack it a little bit. It has to be that male and female energy. Like there'd be the king and queen. So the king would say, nonsense, off with your head. But then the queen would like say, okay, we're just going to cut your fingers off for stealing. So there has to be that softness. Prabhupada said actually, first is health, then is sadhana. So, women's bodies are different. It's not like, we're saying, the soul is the same. The soul is absolutely the same in every species of life. But the body, the covering is different, and we have to, adjust that. That example is there that a 16-year-old boy can go out and leave home and hitchhike around the world and but a 16-year-old girl, very difficult. So, there's differences, and we have to accept those differences, but not use that as an excuse,
Right.
not to do something. But there definitely is difference. I mean, there's fair sex, softer sex, like that. And so there's something to that, but not on the spiritual level, that we can achieve everything that, anyone else can. But, generally I see that there's like leniency for women generally because, they could be a little more on the bodily platform. I mean, pays for the $1 billion cosmetic industry, generally men aren't, although now as Kali Yuga progresses, they're more and more, but they're just there. And we're in the material world, we have to procreate, the women have to be attractive, it just, that's how it is. So generally the women are able to get a little more concession as the men, as far as austerities and things like that. But we shouldn't take it as an excuse to not do something if we can.
I guess that also applies really individual by individual.
Yeah, exactly.
Health
Yeah,
conditions,
exactly. Some
age.
bodies are stronger. Some, it's just, again, a karma. What we've done previously. So. Another question. Yes.
So not knowledge making we have more endurance. So if you think long term, endurance.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's so interesting, just how each has its strengths and combination. Prabhupada really appreciated that so much, and he said, my household disciples are, doing more than my sannyasi godbrothers. They couldn't achieve what my householders can. So, that combination. The combination can be dangerous, but if it's used properly in a Krishna conscious way, that can be very potent because then they're both peaceful and they're both, working hard to serve Krishna. So it's really wonderful. Yes, bro.
I've heard in a few different spiritual schools that men know what to do, but women know how to do it, and not vice versa. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, that's a generalization. And, women have their strong points, and some, kind of depends on, how their brain is and different things. But I mean, that's interesting. When after that big crash of, when was 2007 or something, they said recession, they said that if women were these CEOs, that it wouldn't have happened because, women, don't want to, they're a little more, because they're meant to be protectors, they don't, go out on the line that much. They wouldn't have made those kind of speculations because they're more, they're more caring and they're more careful. So, women have different natures and can be very valuable. And now finally, GBC is, realizing that. So, there's a lot of more women now in managerial positions and in positions to, help our movement more grow, since women are 50% of the world, at least, or there's, somewhat like that, or maybe even more. And it's important to, have that aspect. Otherwise, it's like one-sided. It's like one-sided. And you see, if you go to a place where there's all men, then, the aesthetics usually aren't that good. It's generally not that clean. There's certain things that are really obvious. So, but it shouldn't go overboard where everything's like full of, flowers and fluff and big hearts around the wall and things like that. It has to, be done in a mature way.
You'll get used to this. I have a second question. No one else has. This one's a little less lengthy. I was just thinking about how different karma has led us to have these different dispositions, which is why it's a wonderful generalization, but it doesn't apply to me, for example. I'm the other way around, but in so many ways. I'm just wondering if we're maybe in scriptures there's instruction as to how to kind of work with our karmic disposition, like in the example of someone who isn't, heterosexual, for example, has more masculine qualities, a woman, but is very, sincere in their devotion to Krishna. Maybe they're a bit more adept at things like, more masculine tasks or more masculine roles. Are women supposed to kind of adapt and change their nature or work with what they have the best in service?
Yeah. No, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that everyone follows his own nature. What can repression accomplish? What can repression accomplish? It just comes out somewhere else. So we just want to go with our nature. And probably I'd like to use the word dovetail, to dovetail our propensities. Prabhupada called the ladies out on Sankirtan the secret weapon because, what's on all the billboards? What's on in every magazine? What's, when I go to the airport, to wait, usually you're there early. So when you look at these magazine racks, I mean, every one of them has a woman on them. So, because women are attractive. They're attractive to other women as well as other men. I mean, as men. So, we would go out on Sankirtan and, the guys would be like, excuse me. The woman would say, just put her finger up and the guy would, the guy would stop.
That's so true. That's so true.
And then, then we'd say whatever the line was, and they would stop and they would, appreciate. So, we dovetail that propensity, that's the proper way to use it. The improper way to use it is, a bunch of brahmacharis and they come in and you don't want to do that. So that energy is there. So you have to, curb that energy and use it to make spiritual
To
advancement.
use it rather than, we're not being told to change. It's
Not change, just channel it properly.
Right.
And through, through sadhana, through hearing chanting, then, it becomes easier and easier to, channel that and not use that in a negative way. And we see that when, again, become a mouse. So again, if we don't keep up our sadhana and we don't keep up our association, then, we can, go down and kind of revert back into, kind of a materialistic way relating.
Do you want one?
Not right now. Maybe I'll just make a little tiny break. So this is all vegan, right? And there's no rice. It's barley because we've had it with rice around here.
Until tomorrow.
Until tomorrow morning. We've had it with rice.
All right, I think that's everything.
And we're gonna have it tomorrow morning probably. Can you just make me like just a tiny little,
A little
Julie,
bit
this
of
plate was in
No.
me? I haven't touched it.
no, because I
just everything up, but tiny.
yeah, like half that.
You up for another question?
Yeah.
So, first time I thought you cringe. But honestly, feedback from statements is really being true to myself and sharing. But it really helped me because understand that I didn't understand before, which protected me. So that's one perspective.
Mhm.
The other perspective was regarding this importance of lady being protected. of the main driving forces of sharing getting that alone. Which is quite compassionate
Mhm.
and needed, much needed thing in order to have a function.
Yeah.
But the question is first, knee-jerk reaction response. How do you continue without, having that knee-jerk, whatever it might be, that I think I first read, I kept it, but I don't have feeding problem. So I would imagine maybe some of that did happen, and maybe not.
Oh, tiny.
But how did you navigate through that? The reason why I asked is to help give them certain books, they're going to come across that, and at that point where they do. And you sometimes make a comment to certain phrase. I'm curious what you get to it, and what can you share to me so that I can relay that information, meet those ladies, getting to that point where hopefully they'll continue.
Well, there's different things that Prabhupada said. So, I mean, as far as the protection, I mean, because women are soft-hearted, because they're trusting, because they're innocent by nature, then the big bad men take advantage of them. So it's not a weakness, but it's the nature of women to be soft-hearted, and therefore they have to be looked out for, advantage of. Was that one statement that Prabhupada was quoting, like his professor or something, saying that men's brains were bigger than women, and so then our comment was, yeah, but we can't figure out what they do with that extra. So, they actually think about, but of course, these are materialistic, women in their worst feature that Prabhupada talks about. And even Chanakya Pandit has these funny, a woman has one in her arms, another in her heart, and then one in her eye, that she's checking out. But, we see that going on in the materialistic society. Someone having so many husbands, someone, every month there's someone new. And, so these are, this lower quality that comes out. So, I mean, when I was reading, because I accepted what Prabhupada said is the absolute truth. And I didn't really, I just sort of glossed over that and was like, if you have something that's 95%, right on and you can relate to it, then, if there's a few things that you maybe can't understand or don't agree with, because, I mean, that's like a really high percentage. So sometimes I just explain it that, it takes certain realization and it takes certain purification to be able to, assimilate like all these things. Some of them are cultural, some of them are, the times of, I mean, how much has changed in 50 years, what to speak of. Now it's been so many, 75 years, 100 years. It's unrecognizable. So, Prabhupada speaking the absolute truth, but he also was raised in a certain area, with a certain types of teachers and things. So there was that influence there on the books. So, we can also explain it like that. But, I mean, ultimately, You know, like they say Brahmins, there's Brahmins on every street corner. There's people that are waiting for this knowledge. And if, you know, we understand the philosophy that we practice Krishna consciousness in our past life and we're waiting to take it up again, then they're not gonna, you know, they'll accept that.
I'm gonna turn this up so you can